honourable member for Toronto Centre has the floor, and I believe he's going to speak, so we need to be able to hear. It's coming a little late in my case, Mr. Speaker, but I'd like to ask a question of the Minister of Defence. Mr. Speaker, we were told yesterday in the Afghanistan Committee that a braided electric cable, which is undoubtedly an instrument of torture, was found in the office of the Director of Investigations at the National Directorate of Security. I'd like to ask the Minister of National Defence, would he not agree with us that a discovery like that points to a systemic problem rather than simply a single instance with respect to a discovery of that kind? Honourable Minister of Transport. Order.
About any allegation, but we have to base our actions on facts and substantiated truth. The Committee on Afghanistan did hear from a number of officials. The site visits from Correctional Service Canada veteran Linda Garwood-Filbert, who's a 28-year veteran. She said, and I quote, "In other words, in 2007 alone, we visited the prison on 33 occasions, the National Directorate of Security on 12, and the Afghan National Police Detention Centre on 2, for a total of 47 visits, and these were usually unannounced, Mr. Speaker, and there was nothing discovered."
Honourable member for Toronto Centre.
On the contrary, Mr. Speaker. The lady in question said that they discovered an instrument of torture. And I ask the Minister the same question. If you find an instrument of torture in the office of the person who is the Director of Investigations, wouldn't you think, Mr. Speaker, and I'm asking the government this question, wouldn't you think that there is a great possibility that there might be a systemic problem rather than an individual problem when you find something like that? The Minister of Transport.
Another testimony we heard yesterday at the Parliamentary Committee. Colleen Swords, the former senior DFATE official on the Afghan file, said, and I quote, "I believe we did take all measures that were reasonable at the time to ensure that we were doing everything we could to minimize that there would be any substantial risk." Furthermore, Scott Proudfoot from Foreign Affairs, the reports in question did not indicate that Canadian transfer detainees had been the subject of treatment. These are the facts, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Toronto Centre.
Government speaks loudly of its commitment to human rights, but we've heard yesterday of a decision by this government which is truly shocking. And that is the decision by CETA to cut all funding, not part funding, all funding, for the organization known as Kairos, which is an organization which includes the Conference of Catholic Bishops, the Anglican Synod, and a number of other Christian denominations who fight for human rights around the world. How is this government's commitment, its alleged commitment to human rights, possibly compatible with such a reactionary and retrograde decision, Mr. Speaker? The Honourable Minister of Transport.
Mr. Speaker, this government has taken a strong position on human rights. The Prime Minister has shown great leadership. I'll tell you, Mr. Speaker, when Durban 1 was going on, it was this party and this Prime Minister who called on Canada to abstain and not to go. It was the United States who walked out. It was Israel who walked out on that anti-Semitic hate fest, Mr. Speaker. Israel begged Canada to leave, and Canada refused. Thank goodness we have a Prime Minister. Thank goodness we have a government who put human rights at the top of the agenda and are proud to do it and express Canadian values each and every single day, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member